Hi, my name's Jason and I make bandsaw boxes, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about power carving and how I utilize some of those techniques in the creation of my boxes. I've been making boxes for a number of years now, and at some point I decided that I wanted to try and push the art of bandsaw box making into new territory, and so one of the ways that I chose to do that was to incorporate power carving. So before I get into the tools and the techniques that I like to use, I'll go over some of the boxes that I've made and how I've used power carving in the creation of some of those boxes. Alright, so first up is a box I like to call Gossamer, because this one was styled after the orange monster from the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. This is one of the very first box designs that I ever sketched out, and it's the one that I've made the most of over all of my boxes. This is a box I really cut my teeth on, experimenting with different woods and different colors and different textures. You can see here I've used stabilized OSB for my drawer faces. Stabilization is another process that I like to incorporate in my boxes, but that's a topic for a whole other time. Here's another version of the same box. This one uses Granadio drawer faces that contrast real nice with the maple front. And so on a box like this, I'm using my carving setup to shape and contour my drawer faces here, and then I'm also using it for my feet, get my feet shaped just the way I like them. And then I'm also using it to add in this little detail in the back. Of course, a power carver isn't really necessary for the creation of a box like this. There's multiple ways of getting all of those things done. And if you're interested in making one of these your very own, or you're just interested in making bandsaw boxes in general, I have a 90-minute video course detailing all of the steps that I utilize in the creation of this box. It's $15 and it comes with all the templates you need, and whether you're a new bandsaw box maker or you've made 1,000 of them, I guarantee there's going to be all kinds of useful information in there for you. I go over different methods for forming the drawers. I talk about safely cutting small pieces on a table saw or a bandsaw. I even show how I make my boxes using no hand sanding. I'll put a link in the description below, but you can find everything at jmawoodstudio.com. Alright, next up are the ellipticals. This is another box I've made numerous versions of. On this one, I have carved in the drawer face here. This is a hornbeam drawer face that I've added this kind of wavy texture into here. And then on this one, this is walnut and spalted maple. And on this one, I actually carved the exterior of and just put in this this kind of random texture on here. Even put it on the bottom just because you know, it's so fast and easy to do, and just got in this really nice texture and adds a really interesting look to the box. Alright, so next up is what I like to call the witch's box. You can see here I have carved in the stem. I've just kind of narrowed out this stem and carved in some detail and texture into there. And then I've also added texture to this drawer face on here. The one really nice thing about my carving setup is that I can also use it to sand. And so using that feature to be able to sand these interior parts on here and all down into here just made something like this so much faster and easier. Now here's a box that would have been impossible for me to create without power carving. This is my scorpion. As you can see here, there really isn't any component of this box that didn't utilize power carving, from the formation of the feet to carving in this drawer face, shaping and forming the tail section, and then even up into this stinger pod section here. This stinger pod is made up of stabilized maple burl and ebony for the actual tip here. And so after I formed the drawer section here, I actually attached the ebony to the maple by drilling into both pieces with a 1/16 inch drill bit. And then I cut that drill bit and then used it as a dowel along with a little epoxy to attach the ebony to the maple. And then I just shaped and contoured all of this in here with my power carver. And so lastly, this is my roots box. This is my latest creation. This is a design that I've kind of had kicking around the back of my head for a couple of years now, and it's finally come to fruition. This is my first attempt at this design, and I'm really excited to see where this can possibly go. So this one here is sycamore. with a block of hornbeam glued up on the inside of here. And so then after I got all of that glued up, I made my cut out for my drawer, and then I glued on a back, and then I roughed out some of this with a bandsaw, but then the rest of it is just carving all in with my carving setup. All right, so now I'm going to go over some of the carving tools and equipment that I like to use. But first, if you could just do me a really huge favor and hit those like and subscribe buttons, that would really mean a lot to me. This is my very first time doing anything like this on YouTube. I've got some ideas for videos that I'd like to do in the future. So if there's anything that you'd like to see, or if you got any questions, just go ahead and leave a comment down below. All right, let's get to it. All right, so this is my primary carving setup. This is my Fordham flex shaft. This essentially just consists of a motor that is hanging from my shop-made stand here. Underneath the motor, I have this flexible shaft, and that then runs into this handpiece. Over here, I have my speed controller, and so I can set this to whatever speed that I want. And then down on the floor, I have a foot pedal, and that just acts as my start and stop switch. And so this is an arrangement that just works really well for me. And so one of the advantages of using this shop-made stand is I can customize this any way I like. And so you can see down here, I've got all my bits stored down here. I even got a parking spot for my favorite sander. And then up above here, I've got some magnets that hold various wrenches and tools. And so I get to customize this any way I like it. And so with a setup like this, I can run a wide variety of bits and burrs and sanding drums. I can run anything with a 1/4 inch shaft, an 1/8 inch shaft, or even a 3/32 shaft. So here's a selection of carving burrs that I'm using the most of. You can see they come in a variety of different sizes and shapes and coarseness levels. I'm mostly a fan of using these straight-sided ones. These ones right in here make up the majority of my carving. This one here is the Sabertooth Supreme. This is the coarsest burr that they make. This will remove a lot of material very, very quickly. Of course, it will also leave a very rough surface, but that's okay because then I can go and quickly clean all that up using this one here. This is a Sabertooth Whisper, and this is actually the finest burr that they make. And then, of course, it's nice having different sizes and shapes in these. These really small ones are really great for doing a lot of fine detail work. This little dovetail bit comes in handy for a lot of things. This is a ball end, and I really like using this one for a lot of texturing. Here's one that's actually made by Duragrit, and I really like this little guy for doing various type of texture work. And then, of course, the roto saw at the end here from Sabertooth. This is another, just a really great burr, very handy to have around. And so then, of course, one of the other things that I really love about using that Fordham flex shaft is the ability to use it as a sander. Whether I'm using these sanding drums here that come in different diameters and different grits, these are really great to use. I'm also a really big fan of these guys in here. This is what's known as interleafed flap wheel. And so what that is just little bits of sandpaper sandwiched in between this non-woven material. And so these come in a variety of different grits and different diameters, and these leave a really great finish. And then at the end here is this is what's known as 3M radial discs. And again, they come in a huge variety of different grits, and these are also really great for sanding in tight little detail areas. So another machine that I really like using for carving is this Strong 202 micromotor. This machine is nice to have around for a variety of reasons. For one, it will go much faster than the Fordham does. The Fordham will top out at about 18,000 RPMs, while this one will do 45,000 RPMs. And that extra speed is really nice It gives you more control when you're wanting to do some finer detailed carving or some texturing. That extra speed is really nice to have. Some other things I like about this machine is this handpiece is a little easier to hold. I can even get kind of a pencil grip on here. This cord is much more flexible than the shaft on the Fordham. And so I can bend this any way I want. I don't have to worry about kinking anything. And yeah, I just really like having this thing around. It's really great for, like I said, the detailed carving and the texturing. If I had to choose between the two, well then, no, I would go with the Fordham every time. But I do really enjoy having this machine around, and I use it all the time. All right, so this here is the final piece of my carving setup. This is my dust collector. This is basically just a box fan with a furnace filter duct taped to the back of it, and this thing actually works really, really well. A couple other things when I'm carving, I always make sure to wear eye protection. I always wear a dust mask, and then I also wear this leather glove on my left hand. I'm always holding the workpiece with my left hand, and so I wear this just in case I slip with the carving burr. So I do have a piece that I'm working on right now. This is another version of the Tree Roots box, and as you can see, I've done some work on this already, and I actually did film some of that, and I will show some of that at the end. The thing is, carving isn't the most exciting thing to watch, so I'm gonna maybe just do a little time-lapse version of the carving on this thing. But what I thought I would do is do a little carving on this piece of scrap walnut, so you could get an idea of what the process looks like and how fast it is. I will start off with my coarsest burr, and then move on to the finer burr, and then finally sand it to a nice smooth finish. Alright, and you can see how quickly I carved that away. A little section there. And that just leaves me with a really coarse finish on there. But so we're going to move on to the finer bit. And so you can see that Whisper burr leaves a much smoother surface on here. And then let's just get this thing sanded real quick. Alright, so you can see just how fast I was able to carve away this section of walnut and get it to this nice smooth surface here using just those two carving burrs and that interleafed flap wheel. So thanks for sticking around this long, and once again, if this sort of thing interests you, I do go further into the carving process with my bandsaw box video at jmawoodstudio.com, and then you can also find me at Facebook and Instagram. So thanks again, and we'll see you around.
I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you.
Look, it's a tree. And it's made out of wood.